Welcome back, you guys. My name is Caine. Let's talk about NBA teams that I think could surprise some NBA fans in 2018. There's definitely one team on here that is debatable, but I will give you my reasons why I think they are being slept on. When you go through these 5 NBA teams, let me know your thoughts in the comment box. Should this team not be in here, or am I sleeping on another team that I did not include in here? This is just my opinion. It will be interesting to look back at this in 2018. I could be right, I could be wrong. So let's go into surprise team number 1. First team that I have on here that might surprise fans in 2018 are the Miami Heat. They started the last year 11-30, but they put it all together in the second half. The Heat went 30-11, barely missing the playoffs. The 2017 Heat owned the NBA record for best second half of a season ever by a team that missed the playoffs. I like the way Pat Riley and the Heat front office built this team. After they missed out on Gordon Hayward, they re-signed the guys that held it down for them after the All-Star break. They re-signed Dion Waiters, James Johnson, and Josh Richardson to contracts worth a combined $154 million. Those guys are going to have to be good again this upcoming year if the Miami Heat are going to be a playoff team. The signing of Kelly Olynyk gives the Heat a 7-footer that can play behind the three-point line, which will open up pick and rolls with Dragic and Whiteside. Olynyk is a big upgrade over Josh McRoberts and Luke Babbitt. Hassan Whiteside has not made an all-star team yet. This year could be his first. He's really good at rolling to the rim and finishing, blocking shots and grabbing rebounds. He's doing the dirty work inside. This 2018 year could be the season people look back on and say, this was the year Hassan put it all together for 82 games on both sides of the floor. The East is weaker than usual this year, and I think if Miami gets off to a decent start, it doesn't need to be amazing, just a decent one. A run for the 5th seed is a realistic spot for them in my opinion, so let's go into the second team.
Go Nuggets.
The Nuggets haven't made the playoffs since George Karl was the head coach and Andre Iguodala was the best player on the team, but this is the year, in my opinion, that they're going to make the leap back into the playoffs and push towards 50 wins. Besides the small forward spot, this team has a lot of depth at every other position that they can lean on in the regular season. Anyone who kept up with the league last year is aware that Denver had one of the league's best offenses after unleashing Nikola Jokic. Starting from the first day of January into the end of last season, the Nuggets had the second best offense in the league. They were only 0.2 of a point behind the Warriors. They beat the Warriors in February behind 24 three-point shots, and Danilo Gallinari wasn't even playing in that game. This team has a lot of firepower, and they just added an all-star in free agency who will make them hard to stop. Paul Millsap and Jokic are going to form one of the best front courts in the league. Both can score and are willing passers that are going to be finding cutters and shooters all year. Gary Harris just signed a 4-year, $84 million deal. He shoots 50% from the field, 40% at the three-point line, and he is the team's best defender. He's a really good player. That trio of Jokic, Millsap, and Gary Harris is really good. And I have not even mentioned other guys like Will Barton, who can come in and drop 20 points, Jamal Murray, Wilson Chandler. They need to figure out the point guard spot, as Moutier hasn't turned out how they expected, and obviously any injuries could derail their chances at the playoffs, but if they stay healthy, I'd be really surprised if the Nuggets aren't fighting for that 6th seed. On to the third team on the list.
Okay, this is gonna be good.
Milwaukee isn't as experienced as the Toronto Raptors and the Washington Wizards, but they should be a team this year that can get into the 50+ win range. The Bucks last year were on their way to being a team with wins in the high 40s before Chris Middleton and Jabari Parker went down with injuries. We got a small look at the dangerous lineups Milwaukee can put on the floor that can flat out shut down offenses. In the first round of last year's playoffs, the Bucks almost pushed the 51-win Toronto Raptors to a 7th game. There was a point in the series when the defense of Milwaukee's was so suffocating that they held the Raptors to 0 points for 6 minutes. Those moments on defense were really fun to watch as a fan, and I would like to see that defensive pressure carry on to this year's regular season and become a top 10 or borderline top 10 defensive team. Giannis is a legit NBA MVP candidate this year. Paul George and Jimmy Butler are both gone. This is the season Giannis can take the next step in his development and solidify himself as the second best player in the East next to LeBron. Plus, with Jabari Parker returning around All-Star break, they should have firepower on offense and defense to make a run at the 3rd seed and give Boston or Cleveland trouble in the second round of the playoffs. Let's go into the 4th team.
Something like that. Yeah, I can swim. That's a crazy question. See how he just snuck in from the side and said that?
I'm going to be open and say the Clippers are the one team on here I am least confident about. Gallinari and Austin Rivers have been nursing injuries in the preseason. It feels like every year the Clippers have an injury that ruins them. And betting on the Clippers is something you just don't want to do. They are an unlucky franchise. I hope it doesn't happen this year because the team on paper looks really fun. But I'm going to go with my gut here and say that the Clippers will be a nice surprise and win around 47 to 48 games and won't dip off too much from last year. No one is competing with the Warriors, Thunder, Spurs, and Rockets in the top 4, but there is a gap in the middle for some teams to take the 5th, 6th, or 7th spot. The Clippers will be one of those teams. Without Chris Paul, the team is going to have to rely on Blake Griffin, Gallinari, Rivers, and Milos to create the offense. CP3 was a great player to rely on in pick and rolls, and losing him hurts a bit, but I think the Clippers with more ball movement and passing are going to be just fine. In the half court, the offense should run through Griffin. He's a really good creator and passer for his size, and his assist total could bump up to the 6 per game range. Lou Williams and Patrick Beverley were great offseason additions. It's always nice to have an all-NBA defender and a possible 6th man of the year on the roster. In my opinion, DeAndre Jordan has went from overrated a few years ago to now underrated in my opinion. He's a really good basketball player outside of the, very important shooting part of it. And what I mean by that, by underrated, is he's gotten really, really good on defense, especially the last 2 years. DeAndre has accumulated the 2nd most defensive win shares in the NBA over the last 3 seasons, which ranks 2nd next to Draymond Green. You just always hear, oh, he's a bad free throw shooter, he can't shoot free throws. But DeAndre has grown into one of the better defenders in the league. Give him his props. I'm going to be paying attention closely to the new Clipper team, led by Blake and DeAndre. Let's go into the last team.
Kawhi, what is that?
It's a snowball.
Okay, if you made it to this point of the video, some of you might be asking, why is a team that won 60 games on a video for sleepers? Let me give you my reasoning. I feel in the past few months, as the new super teams in the West have formed, I don't see that many people really talking about the Spurs. I think the Spurs are going to be just fine this year. They kept their core from last year. They re-signed Patty Mills, Pau Gasol, and Manu Ginobili. They lost Jonathan Simmons, but they brought in Rudy Gay to fill that forward spot. There is a big hole to fill at the point guard position with Tony Parker missing some of the season due to injury. Patty Mills has only started 18 games in his career. Mills is going to have to carry much more of a load than he ever has had to. Backup point guard DeJounte Murray will also need to take a leap. Another positive thing that I read recently was that LaMarcus Aldridge and Popovich had a long conversation about his role and being a better fit in the system. Apparently, it was a very blunt and very open conversation about his role. Popovich said that there's going to be an effort to get him the ball more in the post. It was good to hear this from him because after last year's playoffs, LaMarcus is just not someone I am a huge fan of as a player. He's going to disappear in games you need him, but he's always capable of dropping, those 30 points like he did in the Game 6 win over the Rockets. Now, this all relies on the health of Kawhi Leonard, or this part of the video will look really dumb by 2018. He might be close to 100% and he's fine by regular season day 1, and Pop is just sitting him out for the preseason as a precaution. Or is the injury actually nagging Kawhi and it will be an issue throughout the year? I'm going to go with the former. I think Kawhi is just fine and Pop is playing it safe. I cannot wait to see Kawhi just go on a tear of two-way dominance at NBA arenas for 82 games. Best case scenario for him, in my opinion, if he just goes completely crazy, he could win MVP and Defensive Player of the Year, who knows. The Spurs have either been the 1st seed or the 2nd seed in the West every single year since 1998. I couldn't believe it when I read that. The Spurs have just been so consistent, and with the top of the West getting even stronger, I've seen some people knock down the Spurs to the 4th seed and put in either the Rockets and the Thunder above them. I can see the argument why. Those teams are going to be really good this year. I'm going to trust the consistency of the Spurs to win another 60 games this year. This is San Antonio. they're going to finish in the top 10 in offensive and defensive rating again. And by the time it's March of 2018, I'll bet the Spurs are doing so well, people will once again say, wow, here are the Spurs again, going to win another 60 games. Draymond Green is on record saying he thinks the Spurs will be their toughest test. Don't sleep on San Antonio this year. And that is it for NBA teams that I think could surprise some people in 2018. Shout out to you if you made it to the end of the video. Of course, if you made it this far, leave a like. I'm going to be dropping some more preview videos soon. Let me know who you agree with, disagree with, who I should have had on here, and I'll see you guys in my next video.